Oh, window. I think the breeze is in here.
Welcome to another day of destruction in the markets. Welcome to another Traders Community podcast. Investors, traders, punters and dribblers. We have the glorious Madavi here, he of the famous big short on Nasdaq fame who refuses to take profit. We may have to get Mike Tyson in to force him to do that. We have mega letter Johnny here, still recovering from a 3-day binge for his anniversary. So without further ado, let's get into it. So remember, this is not financial advice. This is just traders talking about trades, what they see, what they like, what they don't like, what the pro side is doing, and how it's affecting the market. We talk technical analysis, fundamental analysis, crowd control, sentiment, all that, and of course, beware the dribblers, which have made us a lot of money with the revolutionary proprietary DDD fund. Okay, so what happened today? Blood splattered everywhere, particularly in the tech world. Some, not just in the DDD either, a lot of big names out there, big all-time lows, 52-week lows, some panic. What's interesting, it's doing it all technically perfect. Remember, the system we have is basically mathematics and control, and 85% of these markets are moved by algos with no emotions. Hence, we're way up, way down, etc. So that's why it works. Okay, so let's get into it. And without further ado, let's look where we are. So, crude oil, despite all this, having its dump, was it yesterday or the day before, down to 95 or so, is at basically 102. That's after the API number, which had a big build. All that stuff's not too relevant at the minute. S&P has had a big bounce in the last 30 minutes or so, 40 minutes off the lows, 41.75 cash. Russell, 1885. Nazi had a good bounce. Some of that was to do with a report that actually the glorious one got from one of his contacts deep in the hills of Poland that Putin has turned off the gas pipes there. So that helped that one a little bit. Nasdaq trying to get back over 13,000, got down to 12,800. And Vol still over 30, even though it's down 100 points after market. So that's Volex. Okay, so let's look at, what should we look at? Let's have a look at the mighty Spoos. So just to put it in perspective, today what was that old Meatloaf song? 2 out of 3 ain't bad, right? Well, it looks like 2 out of 3 ain't. 2 out of 3 market crashes aren't good. So last 2 days, we've had out of the last 3 days, 2 sizable smashes on the stock market. And to put it into perspective, the Dow, which is everyone's, the one they talk about on CNBC, etc., dropped, last 3 days we saw a fall of 1,000 points 2 days ago. Had a little bit of a pop yesterday, and they just wiped 800 off it today. So these are big moves, panic moves. The Nasdaq today was wrecked over 500 points, or nearly 4%, 3.95%. That's where the wreckage is, more than anywhere. The Spoos itself was almost down 100 handles, down 95, 2.82%. Russell was whacked 63, which is 3.2%. And as I mentioned, the Dow 800, but 800 isn't what it used to be. It's only 2.38% now. So big moves. A lot of it's we've got earnings season. Yesterday things went better with Coke. Today the nerves are out there. All we could hear about was what's going to happen if Google missed, what's going to happen if Microsoft missed. So it was heavy selling all day. We had Tesla drop, $120 or so, because Elon The concern is that Elon's going to have to flog some Tesla to buy Twitter. And there's multiple theories out there. Does he just walk away from Twitter, say bugger this, doesn't want the margin call, Twitter craps with the money he just saved on Tesla. Tesla goes back up, Twitter's even cheaper. That's one theory, right? There's all these theories out there. Anyway, that's all affecting the market. So let's have a quick look. As I said, this has been clinically perfect. Cajun spit, tank and spit, and all the way into this first big target, which we got to today and we were able to fortunately take profit at the 41.40 zone, 41.40.50 zone, which is here, right? Underneath here, it gets messy. Remember, it's pretty clear. 1, 2, 3. This is either 1, 2 up if you're a bull. If you're a bull, you kind of... there's not much rope left, really. We look at the daily on the Spoos. You can see more clearly where that level was. So it hit our target. So we were able to get most of this, which was really nice. We have a few little swings. And if we talk to the Glory, he has just stayed short the whole thing, whereas I'm a little bit more like try to take the swings with the Murray. Anyway, so that's where we are on that. So you know your level here. You know your level there. You can see how clinically this worked. You got a beautiful kiss of death up here. And so that was 440. So that was 320 Spoos points, that kiss of death. Okay. I know someone here has been waiting to talk and exude his greatness upon us, hey, Johnny? We've been hearing it all day, haven't we, mate? Anyway, here's Nasdaq. And remind you, this is where the short started. We came down, we did 1, 2, and I'll leave you with Madavi.
Well, like Nate said, the only thing I did today, I mean, I'm worried about tomorrow a little bit. I think the direction's down, but tomorrow on the NQs, all I did today was added, I think, 3 more, and I'm still short. If we gap down in the morning, I'll be looking to maybe do some options and protect my gains. For why be holding on, losing money when I could be doing something, making money with the position I have.
Yeah, put money to use. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. If we gap up tomorrow, I might stay short because I think we could sell off after that. Because one company, Microsoft, had a decent earning. The rest of them, like I predicted, in these seasons, a lot of these companies are going to come in bad earnings. And the reason behind it is they usually save the bad stuff for a time when the market really sells off to put it out there. Then they said everybody sold off. It was not just us, So I think we're going to get more of that. It's been a while. Every quarter, if you guys notice, all these companies are doing super great. But as soon as the stocks go down, this much down, it's a great time for them to get all the garbage off their books and say they told everybody what they have to.
A little bit of window dressing or garbage collection.
Yeah. So, and then they get a couple things it does. It lowers their expectations for next quarter, and they can come out and start nailing it again. So you always sacrifice one or 2 quarters every couple of years for this, and I believe this is the best time to do it.
Right, yeah. Well, so just looking at the chart here, you can see that Nasdaq, how much weaker it is than Spoos. So just to compare that, see how much lower it went? Look at the daily one. So the Spoos never broke that level, whereas the Nasdaq did. You can see how much weaker it is. So look where it is. It's minus 3.8, and this is where it broke up way back in April 21. So it's about a year ago, right? Then tested 1, 2, and then we had that big run up, and then we had this. So let's do the count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we did go lower. So if this is 5, so 1, 2, and then this is just 1, 2, 3. This could, so that's your bear. This could just really collapse if it gets underneath all this.
We're getting the hard earnings too. So all these are still ahead. Just wait. I mean, Mate's got a different opinion them in on that, but we're not saying who's right or wrong, but that's just our opinion.
What's the difference opinion on?
I thought you said, don't save them or harvest them.
Oh, no, the only difference is I just think the earnings were going to be crap anyway because the economy and all the other things and interest rate. So I just don't think they needed to make up the crap. I'm actually saying it worse than you, I think. So.
It's like they harvest their gains. These companies, because I've been behind it, not that talking to people in the industry, they harvest their losers too, right? And you don't want to be the guys putting out bad stuff when everybody else putting out good stuff out in your stock. You know what I'm saying? It kind of your shareholders. But if everybody is crap, then it's good, and that's what they kind of it's an unwritten rule.
That's what they kind of hope for, yeah. So it is an we've got Apple and Amazon still to come, Intel. On Friday we have big oil with Chevron and Exxon, which obviously going to blow the tits off, as if you can still say that. But it's what the market expects, right?
So if you look at these earnings, we've been having back-to-back. A lot of quarters, a lot of these companies have been having these great earnings. So
have they though?
Yeah, whatever.
I don't think they have been personally because of COVID.
I believe they're magnificent earnings, and you talk to Kramer, he'll tell you we're going to $1 billion. So I think there's the crap that is saved aside too that they don't want people see, and those are going to be released now.
Dribble Kramer has really turned into the dribbler of the dribblers. He's not quite the master dribbler of some of the fib twitters, but oh my god.
Everybody talking about inflation, but nothing is affecting these companies' earnings. It's just not possible. Then 3 months later, you have this kind of disaster. It really doesn't happen like that in real life, as you all know.
So let's take a walk back, right? So if you remember the scandal where Rosengren and Kaplan, two Fed guys, and I said it at the time, they wanted to get caught because then they had to sell their stocks. They went away, and it exposed all that. So once you knew, so you just made a very good point. All this stuff's in the future, like inflation, less spending, hardship. So people that had half a brain, this is why we just can't stand dribblers that had everyone buying, they laughed at us. We knew this had to affect people because everything was through the roof. Real wages aren't going up, blah, blah, blah. There's all these hot spots, and then it just got worse, right? So it was all predictable. Yet now, and so they're just in denial. So here we are, right? So.
And the companies kept on posting good earnings to back it. So it means, when all of them did that, they all had to figure out how to get
Well, so I'm skeptical on that because I think what they do, because they're all in it on their bonuses, what they would do is do a warning. So they'd warn their earnings, and when it came to today, like they bring out the earnings, they beat. But they're beating such crap earnings, firstly. Secondly, they were all doing buybacks, pissing all that money against the wall. What it did was decreased the float, which made their PEs a lot higher than what they actually were by comparison. So I just think it's all one big fiction. I'm starting to sound worse than you.
Good ways of looking at it, but I'm not saying which others are right or wrong, but it's just for you something to keep in mind.
Oh, yeah. It's all, well, I think I'm actually saying worse than you now that I'm thinking about it, right?
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, that's what IBM, what you're saying, that's the IBM way of doing things.
What's all of their way, yeah.
And have worse quarters than next.
Okay, so let's look at some stocks. So here, we would like to chuck up a dribbler to start. So the dribbler du jour was Fubu, which is doing its best to get under $4. Remember this one when it's going to take it over $50-$60. Okay, so what did we actually do today? Where's the one we're looking at? There we are. So first, let's look at bonds, see what they did. You can see bonds rallied. Why did they rally? Well, an alternative to stocks, right? and safe haven, and also if the economy's starting to get wrecked and commodities, some of them are getting destroyed, guess what? So this is another way they bang it. So then inflation's, they're coming down month to month, but because their percentage of the previous month doesn't matter, they're way up. Kind of the same BS with earnings. Okay, the yield, you can see, got almost to 3%. I want to say I saw like 296 on the 10s. Look where it's come down. This is a big level here, key level, 270. Still, I mean, what's funny, Madabi, we're saying it's coming back, but it's still 2 3/4. Snap, which is one of our favorite ones to bang. Just drew. It actually came down after hours here a little bit, you can see. But so that is still holding up there really, but it's been a good short. They got a lot of problems. That's tied into the whole Twitter earnings on Thursday and obviously the takeover and all that stuff. QCOM, one we saw getting pounded at the end of the day. You can see daily. Look how far these are coming, 190 to 160. Walmart, still hanging in here at 155. Remember, that's a safe haven, alternative kind of mentality. Nvidia, that was just getting pounded. There was a lot of pounding today, Madavi. Look at this. Just look at that. Bang, 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 bang. So
absolutely. They're in all on it. They knew they were going to be what's going on.
So his reality is how overpriced this shit was, right? And again, that's why we harp on about these dribblers that are all out claiming and blaming everyone else. It just amazes me anyone listens to them. So look at it. It's a great. It doesn't matter. They got to make money. Rubber meets the road. Amazon. So Amazon's out this week. Look at this. So if this is a bear, and it gets back into this, I mean it's bearish anyway. Double top. See what we wrote. Fail break. You got all this downside if it busts. That's your bear. That's 500-600 points before it even tests this. That's a big percentage. That's your bear, your bull, all this holds. Apple, which Johnny's been all over. He's like the Apple man today, right? So look at Apple's broken down. You got all this room down here for bust still. So it reports this week as well. So your downside can be all the way in here. It's under 150. Your upside, it needs to get back over here. See the kiss of death, which is like 162. We're trading 156 right now. RK. Anyone want to giggle? Look at this. Just constant selling. Right? And so everyone mocks Cathy Wood, but they all were in it. She's just a convenient misogynist, scapegoat for the misogynist, basically. Right? What other stocks do we want to look at? Exxon.
Bunch of junkers we played with today.
Okay, let's have a look what we actually fiddle with. So that's an overall market. Let me just look at the energies real quick. That's what everyone loves to have a look at.
One trade, he was up a lot, didn't take his profit, and he'll tell you what happened.
When you didn't take your profit or me?
Wasn't that you?
You know what, me. I got too much Scottish blood in me not to take a profit, mate.
Someone tried to warn him, he had a nice little profit and ended up, should have been a lesson. He should have taken it. He would have done really well. But instead,
I know a guy like that. So let's have a look at oil real quick and then we'll look at those dribbler stocks. So we had that nice bounce, remember? Off 95, we've just worked our way back up into the cloud and to this breakdown level from the end of last week. So now, does it hold all this becomes support? There's an entrapment under here, right? And remember, we got all the bearish stuff as far as we're talking oil here, demand, China, etc., etc.
I'll be back.
So that's your 240. If I go to the daily, you can see more specifically how dramatic that was we saw in 240. And so the tanking on the daily, it's holding it. So you got all this resistance here. It really has to get over here to even get that bullish scenario going. Daily, look at that. Cajun, if you think this is magic, it ain't really. It's just maths. Look at that. It's all predictable, mate. Natgas, doing its best to rip and tear. Look at that. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Just brutal.
Oh, yeah.
Not for the faint-hearted, this little boy. And look at this. Cajun, look at this. This is fast stuff. And big points. Okay, let's get on to our stocks. And so, let's talk about those bad trades. No. So, anyway, what was the one you're actually talking about? I remember you bought... Oh, I know, a little one you did. I can't remember the symbol. But you had a really good trade on... what was it called? HUT or something?
HUT hood? No, actually, I still have a little bit of that. I'm down on it. I knew like an idiot I should not have sold it.
Uh-huh.
And like a dribbler, I followed the fucking herd, and herd mentality gets you killed. It went down to the bottom. That's where I got short and ran up and I should have gotten out. I got out of most of it, and now I'm left praying and hoping.
In true dribbler territory. What was the symbol? I'll forget.
HOOD. That was the one where it's laying off a bunch of his employees.
Oh, Hood. Oh, I forgot about the Hoodster. Yeah. The Hood sacked half its firm. And they got earnings on...
I almost did the same thing with Texas Instruments, but I shorted it, but I took a small little loss and got out and bought it and got out and I got shorted, I think at like 54. It went down a little bit. I hurried up and got out and I got out on like 63.
Geez, this stock's... I mean, wasn't this an $80 stock at one stage? And I think the IPO was 44, 45.
Man. It's just the odds of this, if you really were betting on this, that all these stocks would do the same thing like that, it's mind-boggling, the betting odds.
Yeah. And this is just like every other bubble, but this time it was different. The dribblers were all over it. We didn't know. We're dinosaurs. We're this. We're that.
I mean, the consumer, it's not like down that bad right now, where it's in maybe in 6 months from now, who will be seeing this like, on average, you'll be hoping for great reports. But
at the end of the day, it's when people all get one way, they can't think for themselves, think markets get extended, rubber meets the road. It's really that simple.
Sentiment,
I mean, so let's look at what the Hoodster did. I can't remember what this rally was, but it's gone from 11 to 14. It's just been dribbling all the way down. It busted down today. Actually, I was fortunate. I thought it was breaking 52-week lows, so I got short. And then Madavi called, hey, these guys, they just sacked everyone. So,
so many guys want to say that I'm the shitty guy on the block, They were all together.
Right, well, that's the thing, right? They're all in it. So we did that. Let's have a look at Microsoft after the day, because this was quite a big dramatic move and a big reversal. And at the end of the day if this reversal holds, it might become meaningful. But
I shorted Microsoft again, mate. I'm short at 84.
So we can see what it did after the number. So, nice work. So here's the number. Paul comes out. They pound it all the way. A lot of this is stop loss, algos, under $60, right? So it's 274.60. Then it rallied. There was a bit of guidance and then short covering. And then it rallied all the way back to 88. So look at the did. This is a whole full measured move. 88's worth of moves. And then we've come back here to 82. Madavi's shorted in here. So look at what this is doing. Here's a 60-minute chart. Actually, we look a bit daily, but I don't think daily has the after hours. But nevertheless, you can see the Tengen's 81.65, so it's doing a lot of work here. And so we're in here right now. Because this is that. So, who was the other one who reported today?
Check out Google.
Google, yeah.
We had someone we knew thought Google was just going to blow the pants off everything. It just reported the worst quarter ever.
Right.
I was like, He's like, no, man, don't sell anything. I'm like, they got a lot of they got a lot of dust they've been holding off. Be careful about that trade.
And they got so many lawsuits against them. So.
Oh, a lot of he's like, what can they lose on? I'm like, they got plenty.
But hang on. We can't knock Google. They own YouTube. So hang on. Google was really unlucky today to get hit by market waves of uncertainty and despair.
It was down over 200. Now it's down 200.
Dude, yeah, 2373. So this is where it went out at, right? So 2373. This is our daily. Now we're going to flick onto the live screen. And let's see what we got. Oh my goodness!
People are buying this Google up because the split is going to do. And I told everybody, hey man, wait until you buy that. It's not a good idea.
It is.
Now they get a hell of a discount.
It is splitting. I mean, it's just not doing it the way they thought. So, look at this is today's price action. 24.20 all the way down under 2200. So 220. So a lot of people get in options on these things because they're high up. They forget the simple fact how much these moves. That's $200. So I've seen a lot of people blow up. They'll write options on stuff like this to try and get $2 or $5, and then they blow. But look what it's done.
Because the split.
Yeah, it is splitting, mate. Look at the chart.
Yeah. But now look at it. Everybody been pounding and trying to get in there.
Yeah,
I'm like, man, I'm waiting on that. And they're like, oh, no, it's going to go up 1,000 points. I'm like,
So there's two things. When you buy a stock just because the market's short, or if you buy a stock just going to split, you're on a hiding to nothing. Every now and then, there'll be an outlier like a Tesla that just keeps going up. But that was a lot to do because the market was so shorted. So it fed on it. So we went through all this back in the day when we were young bucks on the Nasdaq and stuff. Remember that? They'd buy all these things 4 for 1, 5, and it made the market go up. Then they all realised, shit, all it did was gave more stocks. It's not, and actually they're worth less per value. Then they work it out, and the rest is history. So what else did we have today? That's
we had the hood GM.
Oh,
GM was pretty good. I don't know what happened. It dwindled away.
Yeah. Well, no one can bloody buy any of this crap, right? So,
are wonderful stocks.
So I did see GE talking about the G spot. GE's got whacked today too. So going down 52, down like $8 or $9. They had earnings today. So there's so many earnings. We're not going to bother you too much. Some of them will be on the site and stuff. But look at GM. This was like a glorious short. We actually was short this for quite a while. It went up on bloody electric cars when they weren't even doing them, right? Then they had all their other issues, supply crisis, blah, blah, blah. The electric Hummer apparently does it pretty good, but I got a feeling the battery doesn't work so good. Rumour has it. So anyway, we have come all the way down to 2.8 from 7, not even 7.8, so we still have more blood potential on this little beauty.
So bad, even Twitter went down when they must have buying at 54.
Well, so Twitter, at the end of the day, has earnings on Thursday. They're going to be a bit of a mess, right?
It really doesn't matter, right? Because the price tag's there.
As long as he's approved. And you made a point that a few of the politicians are all against him.
I got short.
So here's how toxic.
Agencies say, nah, we don't like this commie. He's South African, that's it.
So I just remember we hammer them in cricket. Just like to throw that out there. Anyway, and rugby. So you lost my train of thought there. So on, so back on Twitter, they're all about. There's all this Elon like he's some right-wing fascist or something. All he wants is free speech, which in any other era, any other history, where we're all at university and stuff, the more left-wing was freedom of speech, say what we do. What's happened, particularly in his states, is the elite have actually controlled the left-wing, the Democrats. You got billionaires running for president, etc., etc. So no one questions bloody, what's his name? Bezos owning Washington Post. Why? Because that's become a real bastion for left wing. Now, anyone who knows Bezos knows he's not exactly left wing, as what it should be for the worker. Which company treats workers worse? So it's just amazing how people cannot think for themselves, right? And so they're all going on about, like, there's all these things. Oh, if he spent that money on this and that, how about governments, instead of pissing money against the wall, spent money, trillions on people that are unnourished or have no homes, have no food? Just give it a rest. Partisan dribblers are another level. If you want to take the strata of dribblers, and the ones that don't think, a good giveaway is because of Biden's success. Oh, I didn't vote. I hate both parties. Oh, okay. All this sort of stuff. Or we have one dribbler backed by Soros, but I'm not owned by him. Oh, okay. So there's that's what's in the background of the mindset that's out there, right? So
most of these politicians are actors. They're just pretending to be politicians while some guy pulls their string.
Well, they just say career politicians it's a career, right, for money and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, they're like the Walensky guys. They're actors. There's someone better than others.
Well, everyone's an actor, right? In different ways. But I don't. Hang on. Are you saying Joe Biden's an actor?
Well, he's an awful one, but he talks to ghosts, so he's good.
So I did see a snippet, because I know you're a big fan of his vice president over there in California, that she has COVID.
I've seen that work for her.
Yeah, and then I saw that that today's Nasdaq is actually underneath, with all this pump prime, is actually underneath where Mr. Biden became US president, which I thought was an interesting thing. So what a disaster it's been with all these different... I mean, whoever's pulling the bloody levers, they need to put oil in there, mate, because everything's a disaster after disaster. If you go over the last few years...
Do really people think Biden, when he's shaking hands with ghosts?
Well, he was actually... You may not know this, but... So, as you know, Bruce Willis... He isn't doing the best right now, right? So when we always think of Bruce Willis, what do we think of? I hear dead people. Remember that? I see dead people. So Joe Biden had a respect for Bruce, did that skit, on TV. So it's been totally misinterpreted.
Hey, they got Reagan. They thought he was like fully gone the last 4 years of his presidency, and they thought he's the best president ever.
Well, some may argue the best president is one that doesn't make a decision, right?
He was like a mannequin at the end. He just waved his hands.
What, like Valley of the Dolls or something like that?
Bernie, remember Weekend at Bernie's?
Well, I do know some traders that kind of go that way too. Just saying.
Yeah. The great ones I've seen there, man, they're killing it. I don't see no Ferraris. I really don't see I see him tweeting a lot. Maybe they go hang out with Musk or something. They can be like you get your 1 million tweet, you get I don't know.
So what happens? Here's a thought. What happens if firstly, just say a few scenarios. What happens if Musk, they say, you know what, Elon, you can't have Twitter for whatever reason. They find some restrict it, or they say, you can have it, but only under these circumstances. He says, you know what, bugger it. In other words, if he's not allowed to buy Twitter or he walks away, what does that do to the tech sector?
You can't walk away if you look at his agreements. It's non-binding.
It's non-binding or is binding?
Non-binding. So if one of they ask if SC's FTC, whatever approval and everything, so and you get turned down, you can walk away.
Right. Well, so, and from common sense, just say Tesla keeps getting wrecked. Oh, we didn't look at Tesla, did we?
Hey, the chances went up the day he invited Trump back.
Trump said he's not going to do it. He's going to do your DWAC.
Trump can't help himself. He'll make a little bit. He'll make a guest visit here and there.
So, is there the rumor going around was the mighty Al is going to be Donald Trump's media manager? Is that true?
Yeah, maybe. Hey, he's gonna get on fucking Donnie World over there. There's gonna be him and 5 people tweeting. He's gonna get real tired of that.
Well, so that'll be you.
They'll be just laughing.
So
comedy session time.
okay, so let's look at Tesla. So today it lost. Last time I looked was about 11 or 12% of its value. Not a bad effort. So the market since, let's look at reality. The market's actually being not stupid about Twitter. They realise, you know what, this bloke's got to pay for it somehow. What's interesting, I think, mate, I really can't remember, but one of these big sells was when Elon sold all that money to pay his taxes. And so it recovered it. I can't remember. It's either this recovery or that one. Do you remember?
For a long time, because Eli never got a paycheck. I think he got $1 a year, CEO. So he financed his lifestyle by putting up his stock for collateral. Never selling it, but put it up for collateral. Now, the danger in that could be if Tesla happens to go down, there could be a possibility sell-off.
Right. I mean, it's not really a possibility. If they sell it, they sell it. Remember that guy, what did they call him? The baby guy from Korea. Baby.
Yeah, but he's different from the richest man in the world because Tesla could always come in and put up more collateral, where that guy was busted.
Well, so significantly, though, he's doing this of his own account. He's not doing it as part of Tesla. But he does own space and all that.
Stock for sake to do this deal. He's going to do what he was doing all those years when he started Tesla.
Or don't forget, he can still do it against SpaceX or something like else. So here's what's interesting. Look at this. Let's look at this chart.
SpaceX is not liquid. As a private company, the collateral becomes more.
That's true, but he might sell equity to someone. But why would you do that to own a... To me, in my opinion, Twitter's worth $25. Doesn't make money. It's got more problems, But I'm a little bit...
The problem with Twitter is he's taking it private. If he left it public, then he could put Twitter stock back up.
Well, I think he doesn't want the risk of not being able to say anything and all that sort of stuff.
Well, I mean, being public. If he owns most of the voting shares, it's people can't say nothing to you.
Well,
right?
Don't forget, and we talked about this the other day. People like Michael Dell and all that, they went public and then they wait for a market, then they put it back out and make more money.
Michael Dell should be in jail for what he did. He took Dell and then slammed it all the way down to $4 and buys it, and then brings it back at 80.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it could be all those possibility plays, right? So let's look at this chart on Tesla. So look at what happened if you go back to the start of 21, was around 800. And remember, this is all after splits, people. It's had multiple splits. So it's probably 4,000 or 5,000 in old money. Anyway, so this is exactly where we've come down to test all this. So this is where there's been a lot of work done. Yes, it did get under here. But so this is big levels here. Now, if you're, so in the bigger picture, this is Tesla. This is really a story about ESG, like be it batteries, cars, and so many other things.
So never pull off the driverless cabs. This will be the most undervalued stock.
Could well be that. So remember, bankers are like bloody hyenas and all that, and the market wants blood. If they got to sell it, they'll sell it. Okay, let's look at Twitter. So
the monkey gave him this piece of the pound of flesh. Perfect timing.
So let's have a bloody laugh about Twitter, right? Here's the reality. It's undervalued at undervalued. This is a weekly chart, right? And actually, let's tighten it up. So the weekly chart on Twitter. And they go, it's worth $80. BS. The only time it got up here was when all the other dribblers went up. No value, all this bullshit. They don't make money. They don't. Most of its lifetime, it was down here. What is that? $8 or something? 12.
No, it's been around like the $25.
Yeah, 12. No, it was down at $12 and all this for a long time, around 10. All this shit. This is all of 2015 to 2018. This dribbler was an average of about 18, 20 bucks. So we have this big blur. Then we sell off with everything else down to 28 bucks. If the great man, that's what Elon calls himself, I think, doesn't buy it, there's hope in hell that it's not. It's like all the other tech stocks, and it's down here somewhere, right? That's the reality.
It's not a bidder because the company tried to find another suitor that would pay him. Nobody stepped forward.
Oh yeah, because it's not worth it. I'm trying to say this is what it's bloody worth, and it's only worth what the market will pay. So
Elon Musk is going to take it private, right? And then as soon as he gets bored with it, he's going to he's going to flash it all up and give it up to the public at 80, 90, twice. He's going to make twice his money back.
Probably. But whatever happens, I'm just trying to make the point. So the board looks at this, they looks at lawsuits, and just to think to do a poison pill of a company that doesn't make money. I mean, if they do, it's bad. I mean, it's just hilarious.
On Thursday, it's supposed to be a disaster.
And don't forget that now all those blokes have written their own thing. Who's going to give those sort of guys a job again? Certainly won't be Elon. I mean, unless he's got a heck of a sense of humour. Which he may
most of them are going to do a job. Those board members, one of them is like the co-founder of CRM, and the CEO right now, he's going to be worth like 50, 60 million, and they're going to be okay.
They will, but that's not the point. Those sort of blokes have egos and they carry on and whatnot. So anyway, I think we covered everything. A good discussion. Know your levels. We went through them all on the markets. Look at what's getting sold, what's getting bought. Some things are getting really oversold, yes. But when the market's really top heavy, it can keep going. It goes both ways. So now also you're going to have a lot of...
Fast they came down.
What was that?
We got to tell them a couple of these little stocks how fast fortunes could churn, especially Natgas and and those other ones that are churning. I mean, those are man.
Which one?
Natgas. Natgas was ripping, then all of a sudden ripped my arms off.
What's the symbol of that one again? Oh, you mean NVX, the drug?
No, UTX, the one by you in Houston. Then there's the other one.
So I looked at their office. It's down near some strip clubs. Gotta love it. It's probably what the boys were. They were at a strip club.
Let's see. This has got to be a joke. They put Natgas.
Yeah, I looked at the address, right? It's right near all these strip clubs. Not that I've ever been there. Hey, but they are down the road. Anyway, look at the history of this little beauty. It went... Sorry, I gotta laugh. It went from $2 to $52. Look at this shit. All the way back to $2. And, oh my goodness. So this probably had some so the only news we could find on it, this is one of those ones, but Darby goes, hey mate, is there any news on it? And I look it up, yeah, there's some news. The news was there's no news. But the other day, it was a combination of an OTC, it was a merger between OTC stock and the Nuts guys, which I guess was that big run. But look what it did. Power. And these are pure punter stocks, right? This is like going to the craps table at Vegas. You're half cut from all the free bourbon and you get caught, right? Is there a better way to put it? So anyway, $4. Do you want to walk us through it?
Take a look at that EVAX you did. You know the one you're up so much on?
I was up on.
EVOK?
Oh, I never traded that one. That's the one I shorted. And he got mad at me. And then I couldn't short it in the end. They wouldn't film me. But anyway, so this is that little heroin. Look at this. So didn't it do a secondary or something? Is that what happened?
Yeah, something like that. I showed you the thing.
Yeah, that was it.
The nut one, the nutty one, they're calling you some more stripper money.
Yeah. So they're obviously down at the club. What was the next one? Oh, the Ewok or whatever. Ewok. So Ewok, you got to short it. That's that Ewok's out of one of those movies. Star Wars or one of them. So this one was a little drug stock. I've come in. I got a message in between some guy promising me to get a grant. Remember that one? How's that bullshit? So what's those scams, people? Anyway, this one, I can't remember what drug it was, but they got approval for something.
Some drug, and then they could sell it. Don't have to go through trials or something, and they got I think 4 or 5 years to themselves before it goes to generic. So it's a pretty good deal. It's like they're gonna have revenues and stuff. So
that went from 36 cents. I've come in. I've looked at the chart. +2.8, gift from God. Can you short it? And right when I went to short it, I was telling me I could short it, but it was just sitting out there. What was that symbol I got? And then Madabi said, "Oh no, I'm still long it." So he's bought it down here somewhere. So anyway, I just tend to short these sort of stocks, right? Because I think they're all I'm a little bit too much that way. Sometimes when it sets up like this, I know where I'm wrong, and there's massive beaucoup volume on this. But anyway, look how the point is we're trying to make. These are real punter stocks, right? So
both those cases, I was up decent amount of money, and I thought it might get a little bit more wacky, and it didn't. And when it failed, oh my God, Jesus Christ couldn't stop the fall.
He might have said, you know what, I don't like you. Now, all jokes aside, that's the difficult. So here's one from the great man, the great owl that you all met yesterday, who chimed in and talking about strip clubs.
I can't believe his stocks went up, but it's all right. I made it. I took my punishment and got my pound of flesh back.
Well, so it's CNY, right? Or is that not the stock? That's not it. What was the one he was SNC?
It was. I got it right here. Hold on. Whoa. Hold on. I got it right. It's one of these. Hold on. Let me see it right here. CYN.
I was close. I had CNY. Okay. So what's interesting is, if you've noticed, the market's getting routed, yet some of these stocks are actually going up. So there's probably two things in that. One is that there's a bunch of trading rooms and that live in their own little bubble. So they're probably not even aware what's going on with the major market. They tend to just follow the same things. Also, a lot of these stocks have limited value. In other words, they don't make money. They're going to have a secondary. Pros know their playthings, for the punters and dribblers. So the pros get short, but they don't give a shit, right? They might want to just stay short. So that's what... Remember I said at the top of the show, if the only reason you buy a stock is it's short, it's not a good one. And so they're prepared to wait. Sometimes they'll force out. But those numbers are public, like you can't do it. So they keep trying to force them out. What the good guys do is just keep shorting. I'm not saying this is what's going on here, but possibly. But they're the sort of things that drive these markets. And we just saw 3 of them. But you saw 2 of the ones we just looked at. Once the buying stopped, boom, 50% gone in minutes, right? It's very fast. So this is one for different reasons that Al pointed out. And you can see it still continued up all day today. It actually went to a new high by the look of it. So there are plays out here, but these aren't investments, right? They're purely for trading or, with high risk if you're going to do them. Or look to go the other way if you think they're overdone. But be aware of the risk when you're short.
Man, you're the gambler. You got me in all these ones.
Yeah, me. Yeah, right. So let's finish up now. We had a good chat, bit of a laugh. Always try to keep it real, people. Don't get too serious, or you're going to end up depressed on the drink or something worse, right? So oil back over 102 as we finish up here. The S&P, has been rallying since we've been talking from those lows, mainly because Microsoft's bounced back. So there we have it. Natty we'll see how that all develops. Tomorrow we have the oil report, the EIA number. That's all on the website. Make sure you check it out, around the barrel. The Natty one's up Thursday, the Vortex. Lots of good people on that. What do we have out tomorrow before we let everyone go? After hours, there was some other earnings that we didn't touch on. Capital One, KOF, that's a bank, that's down 5.6%, even though they beat. What's another big one? Edwards Life Sciences, EW, is down 4%. The revs were below. Enphase, which is, I know, one of Meta Johnny's favourites, ENPH, is up 6% after they beat and guided higher. F5 Networks, FFIV, took it like a champion, down 8%. Oops. Juniper down 7.5%. What's the pattern? These are all techs. Lucid announced a deal for the purchase of 100,000 EVs for the government of Saudi Arabia. Did you hear that? MBS in the house, chopping away over there. Lucid's up 4%. Hood down 5%. We mentioned that. Skechers, those beautiful shoes that you wouldn't wear, down 6%. Texas Instruments down 5%. So there we have it. Tomorrow, who do we have? What do we have? What do we have, Madawi? We have out tomorrow. Did I mention bonds? I believe I did. So on the yields, the bonds rose across the board. The biggest strength was in the 2-year, as you'd expect. That was down 8 basis points, the yield. So the bonds are up 8 basis points. And all the way, the 30-year was only down 3. We did see Vice Governor Brainard is officially the vice chair now. Isn't she a lucky lady? So we had the $48 billion 2-year auction today. The high yield was 258. Bid to cover 274. That was high. And indirect bid was 66. That's a good number too. It's not a bad auction. Direct bid 21.4. So tomorrow, what do we have? We have the mortgages. Remember, they're being really hit by high interest rates. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a moment. We also have the advanced goods trade deficit tomorrow, advanced retail inventories and wholesale inventories. We have pending home sales and, of course, the EIA crude inventories. And we have a 5-year note auction. We have all the earnings on the website. Go check them out. Who's out? Remember, we got a week of big earnings. So these are going to... Obviously, you saw at Microsoft how singly dictated the market. Tomorrow's Wednesday, so we have the big ones are Boeing, Humana, T-Mobile, Ford, Meta Platforms, formerly known as Facebook, Kraft, Heinz, and Amgen. They're your biggies.
Man, we got a lot of stuff that's going to be screwing up this market. Gotta love it. Beautiful days.
It gives you opportunity.
Get long. I think I'm going to get even shorter.
Mate, behave. And there's a lot of other good ones out tomorrow. QCOM is another big one.
Yeah. PayPal.
PayPal's just been getting wrecked.
Hey, there was a time that AMD was like the favorite, and it ain't looking like that anymore.
No, it's totally like a champion. You're starting to get a lot of... who else is out tomorrow? But yeah, it's quite a few good ones there we just mentioned.
You got Nvidia's really cheap now, I hear.
Which one?
Nvidia, the darling of
Nvidia. Well, it's still a lot more expensive than some of the others. And on Thursday, you got a bunch of good ones too, remember. And on Friday, you get your big oils. So, anyway, lots to do. You got bond markets, going to stir you up a little bit. You got earnings, going to stir your currencies. It's all going up. You got COVID, you got wars. What more do you want? You got crappy shows on TV. You've got strip club... glowing companies that are doing $90 million inverse secondaries. What a world. What a life. Okay, everyone. Remember, smash the like button. Smash the subscribe. And thank you for listening to our dribble.